Hello everyone, welcome to another Scion Custom Races video. It's been a little while since I've done one of these, and Zugzwang has recently come back to making a couple videos again, so I thought I really want to make another video again, and here it is. So I'll begin the replay, and then as we're going through I'll explain to you the context. So, a big question, and quite a curious question that I've been getting, especially from the play here, Azure. I mean, it says Jason here, but it is more commonly known as Azure, or Azure. He says, and I agree with him, it's very, very hard. How do you break late game Terran as a Keiron player? Because tank, ghost, like Thor, BCs, you know, how do you beat those as Keiron? So in this replay, that's what we're going through. As you can see, this is an Archon game. So then the context. So in this game, I basically let him rush straight to mech, only attacking very like late game kind of mech setup, only attacking him a little bit until we both had our late game army compositions. Then we just kind of attacked a lot. I tried to break his super fortress, which was actually very, very tricky. Does require a lot of skill, but you definitely can do it, I think. Yeah, there's certain, especially like from the, I'd say almost like the top 3 current players think the Terran is a bit too strong actually in the Keiron versus Terran matchup. Especially like with ghosts and Ghost Marine and all that, but yeah. Anyway, back to the Archon pair here. So this is me, it's you, and the player I'm with, he is a Grandmaster Zerg player, though his main race is Terran. Because he just cheesed Grandmaster with Zerg, but his mechanics, all of his like macro play, is with his Terran, and which is Masters 1, Masters 2 kind of level. So he's very good at this game, and he's, it might seem a bit unfair, and I mean it would be, but part of what I'm doing here is I'm teaching him, as you can probably tell by all the chatter, I'm teaching him how this race works, what to do. This is like his second time playing this race, so it's while I'm playing against Jason, so it's mostly just entirely me against Azure. I'm teaching him as well, and he does do a little bit here and there, but yeah, for the most part it's me doing things. Anyway, Azure opening up with a bunker behind the ramp. It's quite a good strategy against Protoss, but against Keiron, because we get such a good, like I already have 3 production structures, so I can really just power out units to deal with this bunker. It might still be worth it if you can, if you don't lose the Reaper and you can get the salvage off, then it could definitely still be worth it, I think, because you do force out those units, and especially with this opener here, I only have 1 gas, which is going to delay my Elysium and my modified gate quite a lot, because I had to spend 50 gas on this pulsar. So it's still not the worst, but he does end up losing both Reapers and the bunker without a salvage. So, so I would still say it's a little bit better for me. Bunker at home, as a Terran player, Terran often says, "Oh, Keiron's so OP," yet they refuse to get a bunker. You need a bunker against Keiron. In fact, you just need a bunker versus most of the custom races, I think. Probably all of them. Because they all play a bit similar to Protoss in how their units work, I think, or at least in the early game. Oh my gosh. What the heck? He has rapid fire A move? Oh my, you can tell it's Bear controlling this, because there's no way I'd be doing that. What even? That's funny. Oh my gosh. He still does play a lot of Zerg, so probably does have his repeat rate just ridiculously high. Actually ludicrous. It's going to be a quick 3rd CC opener here from our Terran player. I'm going to speed up the replay a little bit because the main study and the main analysis I'm going to be doing is later on. The opener I did in this game is mostly, or at least I made it initially for Keiron versus Genetron. It's quite a tight matchup, especially in my matches versus Cop DSD. I haven't played too much with him, except for that best of 7. But he's a very good Genetron player, and you really need to have your build down and tight pack in order to deal with him. So essentially, it's only getting 1 gas. You get Edifice, Sanctum, second Edifice, then the Elysium. Then you start your modified gates, your speed upgrade, and then you start Exalted Shields. And then they will actually finish up like pretty much at the same time. So it's a very good timing actually. I'm quite proud of myself for discovering and making such a tight build like that. But yeah. Alright. This chat, maybe I should just disable the chat. I think there can be some good lessons though if you read the chat a little later on. But especially if you're quite new to the Scion Races, perhaps paying attention to some of it is not the worst idea, because in that I explain these a bit. I mostly got these 3 foundries here as like a run-by squad, kind of like how DT run-bys work. Now these aren't DTs, but they do cloak and they do a lot of initial damage, they do a lot of burst damage after they decloak. So they can be very good at sniping undefended bases. So I was planning on just giving them to Bear, but yeah. So never mind, don't pay attention to this because I was in a voice chat, but he was muted. So this is all him questions, and I'm answering him in the voice chat. So you won't be able to know the advice I'm giving if you're new. But yeah. As you can tell, this is quite a casual game. I was never really planning on casting this, but it did end up becoming quite good later on. I'll speed up a little more. Yeah, like you see here. I'm actually got to slow down a bit. You see here, there's it does double damage. There used to be an upgrade to make it do double, but yeah, it will do that after decloaking. But now it only does normal damage until it cloaks again. You can do that. With Stealth Compulsion as well, you can just use this to drain 15 life, but to immediately cloak again, so you get a lot of extra DPS really quickly. This fight, I'm just going to go back over this fight here again. You can see the Convergence is a channeled ability, and it does damage to structures as well. So if you do target fire down this Crux, I'm not sure if he target fired or if they just managed to kill them. But if you kill the Cruxes before it goes off, then it will cancel the ability. So, of course, it's very good, especially with these tanks here. As a current player, here would probably be the best because you're hitting all 3 of these buildings, the sensor tower and the siege tank, plus maybe even these SCVs. Oh, probably not that much range. But especially if he sends his SCVs to repair this planetary over here, you can just put this Convergence right here, hitting the tank and the fortress. Convergence, of course, does double damage to mechanical units, so it actually 2-shots tanks. 150 energy is no joke though. Yeah, tanks are extremely strong versus Keiron, so these are a bit like Marines. Yeah. All of them just absolutely dead bros. Now these do suck energy. They do get 5 energy per attack against biological units. At the same time, Bear is microing these Umbra against this, but Azure's doing a great job making sure his tanks are well split up and well positioned to prevent us from attacking. Okay, let's speed this up again a little bit. Hellbats for the longest time I thought were armored. Like I thought they switched from light to armored again. Okay. This is This is not the army comp, but the ward is crucial for this late game play. So it involves very reliance on these inducers and the ward. So essentially, in the late game, this army is later. This is more like trying to break a siege position kind of army. I'll let him get siege too easily, though I didn't attack him enough in the early game for this to really work anymore. If the Terran has got to this stage, you shouldn't be trying to, you know, force your way through this. But yeah, a very important matchup for breaking Terran is the siege tank versus inducer matchup. So inducers, they do 12. They have 12 range and do bonus versus massive, and they shoot both air and ground. The counter, of course, is the siege tank, and they have 13 range. However, 12 range and 13 range is both further than both units can see. So as a Keiron player, you want to be using offensive oculuses. So you want to be putting them like here, much closer to the Terran base, to then give you vision, so then you can snipe them. Of course, Terran can scan back, and that will allow his tanks to then shoot your inducers. Or as you will see a little later on, he uses a floating barracks to give range for a short time until I end up killing it. But I can't really attack his siege tank super efficiently and reliably while what's the word? While he has vision. So I need to get rid of his vision before I can attack. Like, oh, what if Terran has infinite scans? Terran does not have infinite scans, but they can actually end up getting infinite scans. Very good shade here. The planetary putting in work though. It does get a lot of tanks. Yeah, you can see Terran by no means, as some of you would like to think, Terran by no means is lacking in this matchup, as you can tell by these trades. Terran, of course, has the barracks, he has the sensor tower, he had a scan giving him vision, so I can't attack the tanks without getting shot myself. I'm being very active with my oculuses, switching this vision that was over here to over here. Now I don't have vision here anymore. Try and snipe the tank. Now what is also a very important tool, an important matchup, is that inducers, of course, can survive a tank shot. Like what? Okay, wait, like what you just saw right there. I just ran forward, ate a tank shot, then sniped the tank here. Because you're perfectly allowed to do this. This is what you want to be doing, okay? It's perfectly okay to be tanking just a couple of these tank shots to kill, snipe a tank, and then back off. Obviously, you can't stand in tank fire for very long, and if they have 3 tanks in range of you, then your inducers, these are really expensive, your inducers are just gone. That was only 2 tank shots. It was plus 2. There was 2 tank shots, and this brought him down to only... Yeah. 1 more tank shot would kill him. So you can't really walk into more than 1 tank, really. You can still kind of walk into 2, but you do risk losing an inducer. 2 tanks for 1 inducer, though, is still an okay trade. Though, of course, inducers are much more expensive than siege tanks. Siege tanks only costing 125 gas. It's actually the same gas. 2 tanks for an inducer, same gas count. Of course though, the fuse you can now stack them. 875 shields and ridiculous regeneration now, with 5 fuses all in this. This baby costs, oh, how much? Fuse is 2 supply, isn't it? Yeah, it's still 2 supplies, so that's 10 supply plus the supply of the fuse, which is 3, so that's 13 supply just in this unit here. Now this is what allows us to attack into like 2 tanks or 3 tanks at once. You constantly use this restitution ability, as you see me here, just constantly using it to heal them right back up as quick as I can. That way I picked off a tank, and I back off without really losing too much. There's more tanks coming though, and then they will just destroy you. So you have to be very cautious, very careful. But of course, if there's a line of tanks, I'm gonna see if I can remember to show you in the unit tester later. Actually, okay. Okay, this is a line of tanks here. Just imagine this is an open area. Forget about the planetaries, forget about the terrain, forget about anything, right? If you attack from here, you're going to be able to attack this tank, and only this tank, without these tanks being in range of you. So if you attack from this angle, there's only one tank in range of you. You can pick off, head back, without really, you know, worrying about anything. So that's the tactic you really want to use. So there's a tank line going all the way down here. So attacking from this angle here, all of these tanks are going to practically be in range. But if I attack from over here, only this tank, or this, like these two tanks, will be in range. At the moment though, these tanks are not far enough forward to save the planetary, which is why I am attacking from this angle. Because I'm able to pick off, just get some free pot shots on this planetary without the tanks having to trouble me too much. I think this tank is in range. But yes, and of course the counter player as a Terran player, you want to be repositioning these tanks, like the tanks here. So once, because inducers are very slow, say I'm attacking from over here, you have these tanks perfectly set up if I'm attacking from here, because they'll all fire at once. Once I start moving to this, to over here, ignore the terrain, to attack this one tank, and that's where you want to be either pushing this tank a little further back so it's in line with these other two, so you have a line of 3 tanks, preventing the Keiron from attacking into you, at least efficiently. Or you can move these tanks forward a little bit, especially this tank. He won't be able to help these other 3. So you can put this tank forward like over here, and that way attacking from this way will not work. But then of course there's the Keiron, and you just constantly reposition. So it's a constant game of repositioning, being very, very cautious. Of course, the fuse with this many, the ward with this many fuses regenerates extremely quickly, especially with an energize. This is what you want to be doing as a Keiron. I even ended up making a forward citadel over here just to have some shield regeneration as I'm moving from this location to this location. This would help me regenerate the shields and the ward, so then I can go and attack again. Because you can't really attack, of course, while there's no shields in here. At least not super cautiously. This gives an extra layer of protection. So that's a longevity. All of that, what I just explained, is the longevity to this matchup against the late game Terran. But then what do you do if the Terran just simply, walks across? Of course, these guys, the DPS is okay, but if the Terran unsieges all his tanks, just, moves them here, I'll pick off 2, maybe 3 tanks, then he sieges them all, and then all of this just dies instantly. How do I stop that? The answer is Cruxes, and I like to add on Paragons as well. So as you'll see later, he tries to just move out with his entire army, and I managed to get some convergences in. This convergence, of course, though, does not have anywhere near enough range, and the Crux does not have enough HP at all in order to use this offensively. He can only use this once the mech player tries to move out. So this is only a punishing kind of army, essentially. So it's the case with any kind of late game, right? You want to have your long-term army, this here, your long-term army, and you want to have your short-term army to prevent them from simply just jumping on top of you, like this here. I add on some more Paragons as well, because they're really good. They're just much more well-rounded to doing this. Okay, but yeah, you see here, this is a perfect example, as well as what I was explaining before. Okay. I can't really attack from here, because all these tanks can shoot me, but I'll come over here, and there's only one tank. This tank is too far back. This is 12 range, this is 13. You only have 1 range worth of leniency when it comes to your tank positioning. So I'm able to pick off this tank without these tanks really interfering too much. Of course, this is too many inducers, so some of them do end up coming in range of these other tanks. But yeah, Only 2. His third tank started to get some shots in as they concaved around, as they automatically concaved around. But if it was just one inducer versus one, if I just sent one inducer there, only one tank would be able to shoot it. Just not enough room to put multiple inducers, obviously. The Aegis as well, you definitely want to be getting this to defend your outside bases. So, you know, the Terran has his army here, then you put the Aegis on the other side to prevent like run-bys or smaller counterattacks. Yeah, you generally want to have your main army against his main army, and the Aegis against enemy counterattacks. Okay, yeah, I believe this is where he's moving out. I have a Paragon. I would prefer to have many more Paragons, but at the moment I am mining. I'm simply just sitting here. I have more bases. I have a lot more, many more workers. He has 68 plus mules. I have 99. It's like 100 supply of workers. And this is my entire army with the 100 supply, because there's so much supply in these. So much supply in these. These are 6. The same amount as a BC is ridiculous. Right. Huh? Yeah, 6 supply. These are 8. These are 2 or 3? 3. Yeah, so extremely supply expensive army. But with your extra supply, you generally want to be adding in Paragons, because relying purely on convergence isn't the most reliable tool. Does work versus, because all of this is so big, so clunky and so slow. It's a lot like a disruptor. They can't really split versus a disruptor, like they can't really split versus convergence. But it's just having more Paragons will just kind of add more meat to your army, more roll-roundedness. Especially the long-range air weapon is quite good if they ever decide to go DCs. So yeah, he tries to move out. These long-term fighters won't simply just, they'll kill a couple of them, but they won't be able to stop this move out. Like, without this here, he could march over, lose a couple units, kill this entire base, kill this setup, and still have this position, still be able to hold this position with the siege tanks, and perhaps even slow push further forward into this base and what have you. But this kind of move out here, where he's not really slow pushing, he's just trying to come over here. This is what this is for. And Terran players look away. Massive convergences, big losses here for Terran. It's now actually quite an even thing. And he's doing bonus damage versus massive units. Allows him to pick off a few weakened Thors quite comfortably. But yeah. Okay, now he's going BCs. Inducers are a very, very good counter to BCs. They get increased DPS, of course, when they get jumped on top of. Though it's still it just dies to Yamato and then a little bit of BC firing. Of course, this is the same supply as a BC, so 7 BCs jumping on top of this will easily kill this army, at least without some backup. So of course, as a Keiron, just doing my best not to lose any units. I have an insane bank. He's got a very, very good bank too, but mine is a bit ridiculous. So I'm just draining up all these resources, trying to prevent him from getting any kind of positioning over me. These floating barracks giving him vision, so I can't push into these well grouped up tanks without getting rid of this barracks here. The Citadel here for some extra shield regeneration. Yep, and as you can see right here, he's not target firing his tanks on inducers, so I'm able to constantly just regenerate all their shields with the wards. Now I have to go back, regenerate ward shields once more. Wards actually don't need to go back near the Citadel, but it makes it a bit quicker with Energize. I'm not using it at the moment. On the other side, it does have this little Thor run by it, which is quite scary. It does kill the Aegis. Just bursts down through the shield and kills it. I send the Paragon after this there. On the other side, it just simply grabs that base. If I had less supply and workers, I would be able to reinforce this location, but I do not. So you do need to be careful. I do think I'm on a little bit too many workers. Probably 82 workers would be, 82, 84 would be the number that you want. So you can still have a bit more supply and like paragons or something. And you'd be able to send those paragons over here. In combination with the Aegis should be able to hold off smaller runbows like that. Because it's only 4 Thors. Meanwhile though, building up his BC count does not have any upgrades for him. For them though. I have +3 bio and mechanical weapons. And he has +1. Now, jumps the BCs. So yeah, Yamato still absolutely crushing this army, as you can see. I think with the BCs, what you should have been doing what Azure should have been doing as a Terran player is just constantly just run buying on the bases. Just come with the BCs like around here, kill this base, kill everything there. If I come over here with my army to defend it, then you can either just teleport home, Yamato my army, teleport home, teleport over here, or scan here first, because you're gonna want to make sure that there's not enough here to deal with the BCs. Otherwise you'll lose them. You know, teleport over here, then go home. You know, teleport here, then go home. Rather, he's only been using them for fighting so far this game, but even that isn't working out too badly. Worker supply though now is 73, so I can put a lot more supply into army units, which I do invest into 3 paragons, and I rebuild my inducers. Does dodge 1 convergence, but he still tanks 1. These paragons are just going to be able to kite these BCs for a very long time. There's no tactical jumps, no more Yamato. Because the BCs are just sitting ducks, so they have to go home. These Thors are going to have to defend against my paragons to get them to shoo away. Doing insane damage to just get the paragon. Yamato on a fresh BC does not teleport it away though, but the paragons do go down. Only +1 weapons though. They could have done quite a lot better if he had more paragons. It's ridiculous, 7 fuses. This is what a purple fuse shield looks like. Bear accidentally unfused this. Yeah, this is how much. This is a lot of fuses. This is, you know, oh, this is so broken. That's like 13 supply. This is 17 supply. That's 1/10 of your entire supply just in this one little thing. Yeah. Now as a Terran, he's starting to slow push this base with his scans and the vision. Can't really contest this super well. And of course, as a Terran, with your mass orbital, you can't constantly scan, but you can scan a lot. So what you want to be doing is you have this nice thing here called a sensor tower. With this, you're able to detect my army movement. So when I'm trying to come in range of your tanks, then that's when you scan. And when you see me pulling back, don't scan. Just save your energy. And only scan. Of course, the counter restitution, repair. I'm constantly using restitution on these, but he's constantly repairing that. Paragons though, Thors were not in position to deal with this. Going to end up using Emissary Orb. Gonna force the SCVs to retreat. Of course, it does deal some splash. Tanks don't care too much about a couple Emissary Orbs in terms of the splash damage that they could deal. The SCVs most certainly do. Yeah, I've been able to keep this Terran on only 5 bases. This map, by the way, I haven't brought this up until now. This map is called Hecate. It is from the most recent Team Liquid map contest. It might become a map in the ladder. I'm not super sure, but I did enjoy looking at a lot of the Team Liquid maps. to see you know, what the map creators have come up with. There's some great maps there. Some others are made by people who do not understand what balance is at all. But this one is, I think, definitely one of the most popular maps that is there, especially with the purple aesthetic, and it's got a very good, very race-friendly layout. It's not too open, but it's not too closed either. Perhaps slightly bad for Zerg, but honestly, like, all of the maps this season have been good for Zerg, so it's about time we get some Terran and Protoss favored maps. That's enough about this. Aegis allows me to stand in this shield. A lot of people say Aegis shield is OP. It is not. His supply is lower than mine. I have an army. I was already slow pushing this. This just allows me to really properly kind of get on top of his units. If he keeps this setup though, this will just come. These tanks plus the Thors will absolutely burst down the shield like no tomorrow. So on its own, it does nothing on its own. It needs all these other things. 7 fuses protecting the ward. BC is though abusing my lack of units on the other side of the map. Because all units. This is what he should be doing earlier. Now this is what he's doing now. It's working out very well. He does not have +3 ship weapons, which is a big shame for him. We do have some more supply for Paragons. Yamato. It's a very tricky and delicate matchup, the BZ versus Paragon matchup as well. With the Yamatos versus Paragons, but that is going to be it. I have very, very slowly, very, very patiently drained this Terran of his resources. I've never overextended in this game. I mean, there was a short thing toward the end where I did start taking a couple of shots and lost a little bit there, but the game was practically over at that point. But yeah, this is how you have to break late game Terran as Keiron. There's no very quick way to do it. And this army here, this is one control group for the Paragons, another control group for the Cruxes, another control group for the Wards, another control group for the Inducers. These are 2 Grandmasters players controlling this. I mean, it's mostly me, but Bear does help with the external kind of threats, the threats that are not with the main armies, so there's a lot of pair of hands. What's the APM? Average of 300 APM, yeah. Very, very high. Azure, he's Diamond 1, Masters 3 kind of level. He's 4k roughly, 4.1. We're both Grandmaster. Don't go crying Imba. This is a very big skill difference as well. So yeah, very, very, very tricky. But the key is definitely patience with using these inducers, and you cannot overextend. I repeat, these are way too expensive. You cannot be overextending with this at all. Otherwise, it could prove to be your downfall against an opponent of even level. Anyway, that's going to be the end of this video. I hope you enjoyed this analysis. I hope this will improve your perspective and your win rates against this late game Terran stuff, Azure, and anyone else struggling with Terran as Keiron. I hope this will help. In this replay, the Terran never got Ghosts. Ghosts would do a lot to these shields, but of course the Ghosts, because these are such long range, EMP is not as long range as this spell. It's a bit like, for the same reason why I don't use Convergence only. Same reason why I only use Convergence when he's moving out. It's the same reason why EMP won't be especially Imba in this matchup. It's just because of the range. It's just too long. I can just kill the Ghost, and he won't be able to push forward with a tank super quickly. So I should be able to regen the shields fast enough. But anyway, it's going to be the end of the video. I'll see you guys in the next one.